Hi, I watched a DVD today and it just came out. It's called Unveiling Grace. And this is a production of Main Street Church of Brigham City, Utah. They are formerly Living Hope Ministries. You may have seen some of their videos on the internet. On the front of the DVD here it says, 8 Mormons' Life-Changing Encounters with Jesus Christ. 5 of the people in this DVD are members of the band called Adams Road. Adams Road, awesome musicians. If you'd like to hear some of their music, check out their homepage. Just click on the link right there at the bottom of the page. I'd like to focus on one particular aspect of this DVD. One of the members of the band Adams Road, Steve K., touches on a very interesting aspect of the LDS religion, and that is the LDS idea that a person must be married to reach the highest level of heaven, what Mormons would call the celestial kingdom. And if you're Mormon and you're watching this video, I'm sure that being included in videos like this that are critical of your religion is, not a lot of fun, but I would just hope and pray that you would just have an open mind as you watch this short clip coming up here. It's just a couple of minutes long, and it's something that Steve found out about the LDS religion that caused him to ask a couple of hard questions while he was on mission. Let's see what Steve has to say.
So I completed my mission. I served with honor and everything else. Even though I had those brief struggles throughout my mission, I went back to BYU to continue that after my mission. And part of the curriculum at BYU was to take classes on religion. And so as soon as I got back to BYU, I said, well, great, I'll study the epistles, because I had always had arguments with different Baptist ministers and things on my mission, and they were always quoting out of the epistles. So we started studying the writings of Paul, and I just remember reading where Paul talks about that it's better for a man not to marry and to remain single in the Lord so that he can serve the kingdom of God fully without any distraction. And so one day in class I raised my hand, and it was kind of a question and answer time, and I asked the teacher, what about this verse? Why does it say that we don't need to be married when the LDS Church teaches very clearly that we do need to be married for salvation in the highest degree of the celestial kingdom? And the whole class just kind of went silent and stared at me like I was a monster or something for asking such a question. And there was kind of this tense pause, and the teacher just looked at me and said, well, it's one of the mysteries of the gospel, and we don't have all the answers right now. Okay, next question. And just moved on and just totally breezed over with no answer. And I was so frustrated at the time, because that was a serious struggle I had had while reading the New Testament. What is Paul talking about? And I got no answer. It was just avoided. So at any rate, just like with my mission, overall at BYU I had a great experience and I really enjoyed it. But there were just these few moments where God just started planting seeds in my heart and showing me that things weren't quite what I thought they were.
So the verse that Steve was referencing there is from 1 Corinthians chapter 7, and it says, "For I wish that all men were even as myself, but each one has his own gift from God, one in this manner and another in that." And what Paul is talking about there is the topic of marriage. Paul was single, and if the LDS Church's idea is true that someone must be married, then I would have to question why Paul wished that all men could be single so that they could devote their lives solely to God and solely to ministry. There's another principle that Jesus himself touched on, and it was in answer to the Sadducees when they came asking him a question about marriage. Jesus answered the Sadducees, and he said to them, "You are mistaken, not knowing the Scriptures nor the power of God, for in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels of God in heaven." So we know from verses such as this that it's not mandatory that we be married. So I look forward to your comments.